welcome honored guests to Women in Governance's annual Recognition Gala. Avant de continuer, si vous souhaitez assister à notre gala en français, vous faites changer de langue maintenant. My name is Nicole Piggott, co-chair of the Parity Certification Committee. I want to take this moment to say congratulations to our 58 2020 certified organizations that demonstrated that the commitment to gender parity cannot be paused due to a global pandemic. This year has only highlighted how fragile our gains have been, and that we have to remain steadfast in this goal. I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate our participants and graduates of our governance training program and our executive mentoring and professional mentoring programs. During this prestigious evening, parity-certified organizations will be honored for their outstanding efforts and actions to create workplaces that increase the pipeline of female talent and ensure greater representation of women in underrepresented sectors and leadership positions. Through your efforts, you have demonstrated that gender parity is not an event. It is a sustainable and integral part of your company's values and performance goals. The gala brings together leaders from the corporate world and political world, men and women working together to the achievement of gender parity and inclusion. Enjoy your celebration. Now for a word from the two co-chairs of Women in Governance, Monique Leroux, Vice Chair, Fiera Holdings, and Norm Steinberg, Vice Chair, BFL Canada.
I'm delighted to be here today with all of you virtually, with our founder, Carolyn Coetzee, and my co-chair, Monique Leroux, at our Women in Governance annual Recognition Gala. Of course, what I really look forward to is being together with all of you in the same room next year, where I hope we'll all be vaccinated and we'll be together again as we used to be. Carolyn founded this organization about 11 years ago to promote gender parity, starting with the C-suite and boards of directors. This organization has grown into a globally recognized leader in this mission. But despite the progress we've made by promoting gender parity through corporate certification and speaking out about these important issues, the pandemic has set us back considerably. Women have suffered job losses disproportionately, and racialized women even more so. Let's remind ourselves, why are we dedicating ourselves to this cause and this mission? It's not just because it's the socially right thing to do. I give examples. Number one, empirical studies have demonstrated that economies with greater participation of women in the workforce have greater GDP growth. And secondly, another very important issue, organizations with greater participation of women and diversity on both their boards and the C-suite do better financially. So we really need your support, men and women, to fight the headwinds of the pandemic and get us back on track to gender parity, appropriate diversity, and ensuring that women can find their rightful place in our workforce again. Thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup.
I am also delighted to be with all of you tonight. It's a privilege to work with our founder, Carolyn Coetzee, and my co-chair, Norm Steinberg. First, let me express my words of congratulations to the organizations and leaders recognized during our gala tonight. Your commitment to gender parity deserves our appreciation because your organization contributes to moving the agenda forward and stimulates progress in achieving our common goal of gender parity. J'ai toujours cru fermement à la diversité, et ce, depuis ma jeunesse. Je salue mes parents qui m'ont toujours encouragée à tracer un parcours ambitieux pour lequel j'ai eu à être parfois parmi les pionnières au Canada, tout en contribuant simultanément à l'évolution des femmes dans l'économie et les entreprises. Cet engagement envers la diversité, la parité, l'équité et l'inclusion commence très tôt dans la vie, souvent à travers les valeurs de la famille et du milieu éducatif. Et ensuite, ce sont les entreprises et les gouvernements qui doivent prendre le relais avec force et conviction. Et que d'exemples positifs et négatifs pouvons-nous observer à travers le monde? Mais ce soir, nous soulignons ensemble votre engagement remarquable à soutenir la diversité et la parité. Nous avons besoin d'avoir des entreprises modèles qui croient à s'engager et qui croient à la certification parité. J'ai aussi cette conviction profonde que la parité doit être plus que jamais une priorité, malgré les progrès accomplis depuis les dernières années. Il reste un long chemin à parcourir et nous devons agir et progresser ensemble. Le gala de ce soir vise à reconnaître vos actions et votre leadership. Bravo! Célébrons ensemble votre contribution et prenons le temps de nous inspirer avec nos conférenciers que nous entendrons tout au long de la soirée. It is time to celebrate and get inspired with our exceptional leaders. Congratulations to all of you. In those very difficult times, it is time to express also our appreciation to Caroline Cotzi and her team, to our partners and sponsors, to your commitment and hard work towards gender parity. Bonsoir.
I would like to welcome Neil Parmenter, CEO, Canadian Bankers Association.
Good evening, everyone. The Canadian Bankers Association is proud to once again serve as presenting sponsor for the Women in Governance's annual Recognition Gala, an event that our members are honored to support each year. The Gala is an occasion to recognize the great strides women continue to make across sectors of the Canadian economy and in all walks of life. We commend the organizations recognized this evening for their dedication to moving toward gender balance in Canadian workplaces. Parity Certification is a critical step that business leaders can take to build a fairer and more equitable workforce. Inclusive environments that value and celebrate diversity will create stronger, more successful organizations that help our society achieve its full potential. Thank you to the honorees for continuing your commitment to building a more equitable future for Canada.
Ms. Valérie Plante, Mayor of Montreal.
Bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Je tiens à souligner tout d'abord que nous sommes ici rassemblés sur un territoire autochtone millénaire, lieu de rencontre et de diplomatie entre les peuples et lieu de la signature du traité de la Grande Paix. Nous remercions la nation Gagnan-Gayaga de son hospitalité sur ce territoire non cédé. Merci à la gouvernance au féminin pour l'invitation et félicitations pour tout le travail essentiel que vous accomplissez. Votre souci pour la diversité et l'intersectionnalité est remarquable. Cette sensibilité rejoint les priorités de la Ville de Montréal, qui s'est officiellement dotée de sa toute première stratégie de réconciliation avec les peuples autochtones. Notre stratégie s'inscrit dans notre volonté de reconnaître et de célébrer la présence autochtone passée, présente et future ici à Montréal. Avec cette stratégie, nous visons à ce que l'héritage autochtone soit plus visible dans la métropole. Nous voulons aussi nous assurer que l'ensemble des services publics que nous offrons soient culturellement sécurisants pour les personnes autochtones. Et nous nous engageons à lutter au quotidien contre le racisme et les discriminations systémiques. Ensemble, avançons sur le chemin de la réconciliation avec les peuples autochtones et contribuons à bâtir une société plus juste, égalitaire et inclusive. Merci et bon gala.
Honorable François Legault, Premier of Quebec.
Bonjour tout le monde, je vous souhaite un bon gala de reconnaissance de gouvernance au féminin. Je commence par remercier toute l'équipe de gouvernance au féminin pour leur travail en faveur de l'égalité. Merci de nous aider à avancer comme société. Aujourd'hui, on honore l'engagement de 60 grandes entreprises pour l'égalité entre les femmes et les hommes. 60 entreprises qui ont rejoint la certification parité en 2020. Je veux les féliciter pour leur engagement. L'égalité, c'est une valeur au cœur de notre identité au Québec. C'est un combat que nos prédécesseurs ont mené pendant des décennies. Ils et elles nous ont légué des acquis importants et ça fait maintenant partie de ce qu'on est. Mais il nous reste encore du chemin à faire. Comme gouvernement, on a le devoir de continuer le combat pour l'égalité et ça passe aussi par la contribution des grandes entreprises. Il faut mettre l'égalité au cœur de nos milieux de travail pour que toutes les Québécoises puissent se permettre d'être ambitieuses pour qu'elles puissent contribuer à notre économie à la hauteur de leur talent. Merci et bon gala tout le monde.
The Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada.
Congratulations to the organizations being honored here tonight, and thank you for everything you do to promote women's leadership and gender equality. On doit tous faire notre part pour veiller à ce que les femmes, dans toute leur diversité, soient au cœur des prises de décision, parce qu'on sait que ça mène à des résultats meilleurs et plus inclusifs pour tout le monde.
And now for a fireside chat with Caroline Codsey, founder and chief equity officer at Women in Governance, and the co-chairs of our gala, Maria Della Posta, president of Pratt & Whitney Canada, and Marc, president and CEO of CAE.
Good evening, my name is Caroline Codsey, and I am the founder and chief equality officer at Women in Governance. Welcome to our annual Recognition Gala. En cette année un peu surréaliste, c'est résolument tourné vers l'avenir et rempli d'espoir que nous vous accueillons virtuellement en attendant de vous retrouver en personne. Notre dernier gala de la certification parité s'était tenu le 3 mars 2020 au Ritz-Carlton de Toronto. L'ambiance était festive et la salle pleine à craquer. Nous étions encore loin de nous douter de ce qui nous attendait. Right before the pandemic, it seemed to us that we had reached greater heights when it comes to gender equality. But even then, we were 180 years away. Why? Because pledges do not mean action. Hashtags don't equal change. Progress is not made by paying lip service, but through consistent and deliberate action. Globally, less than 8% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Among Canadian companies, that number is less than 4.4%, and women in executive officer positions still earn about 68 cents for every dollar made by their male counterparts. When it comes to governance, 174 out of 641 public companies in Canada have 0 women on their boards. While that number is getting smaller, there is even less representation among women in BIPOC or LGBTQ communities or with disabilities. La pandémie nous a apporté la transformation profonde de nos milieux de travail et une accélération fulgurante de la numérisation. On nous rapporte que les femmes sont 10 fois plus nombreuses que les hommes, 100 000 contre 10 000, à avoir complètement quitté le marché du travail au Canada depuis le début de la pandémie. Ceci est particulièrement inquiétant pour le bassin de futures leaders féminines. While we need to accelerate the pace of change, we know that progress doesn't happen overnight. It is an ongoing conversation about what we want our society to be and what we need our corporate leaders to do in order to achieve our ambitions. It is no longer acceptable to blame our dismal progress on a lack of talent or pipeline. If we've learned anything over the past year, it is that our future will be shaped by those who have not been given a voice in the past. The certified organizations honored tonight employ together close to 400,000 employees across Canada, and this conversation needs to be had in every boardroom in our country, every workplace, and throughout society to make sure we continue to shape the world we want to see. Faisons en sorte que les bouleversements auxquels nous sommes confrontés soient un catalyseur de changement. Et alors qu'on parle d'une récession au féminin et d'une reprise au masculin, nous choisissions une reprise sur le thème de la diversité, de l'équité et de l'inclusion. C'est la seule manière d'éviter un recul de plusieurs décennies. Au nom de toute l'équipe permanente, du conseil d'administration et de l'équipe de bénévoles de la gouvernance au féminin, composée de femmes, d'hommes, de différents milieux, différentes origines, religions ou générations, car cela ne fait qu'ajouter à la richesse de nos débats, je vous remercie vivement de prendre part à cette importante conversation et de votre soutien indéfectible depuis plus d'une décennie. And now, without further ado, it is with great enthusiasm that I would like to introduce you to our gala co-chairs, Maria Della Posta, President of Pratt & Whitney Canada, and Marc, President and CEO of CAE. Maria and Marc, if you will please join me on stage.
Diversity means to include everyone, regardless of their race, gender, their age.
Inclusion would be when all of these differences come together.
Recognizing that, every person is different and celebrating those differences.
At CAE, I think we have a responsibility to encourage that.
I will help forge.
I will help forge.
I will help forge.
I will help forge a gender equal world.
J'aiderai à créer un monde égalitaire.
Maria Della Posta, Marc, you are both at the head of organizations that have undergone Women in Governance's Parity Certification. Can you tell us how that benefited your organizations? Let's begin with you.
Oh, Caroline and Marc, it's great to be with you both today. This is really an honor and a privilege. Our involvement began with your organization in 2018, and by 2019 we had reached gold level, and we're on our way to the next level, so we're going to keep working it. You can count on us. The main benefit, I think, is, well, first you get to compare yourself to the best. You get to see what others, not only in your industry, but other industries are doing, and what they've done to put measures in place. And at the same time, for us, it was an opportunity to consolidate a lot of activities that we had been working on into a framework for governance. Just like any key business practice, we really have been able to have that end-to-end view of what it takes to ensure that we're doing all the right things to develop and promote women and talent in general. The biggest learning for me was the notion of sustainability and longevity. In other words, it's not just about doing one or two little things. You really have to have that comprehensive view of all the people in HR practices. And I think it helped us to realize where we were doing well, but also where we were not doing so well. I'm very proud of the executive talent, female talent in the executive team, but we have a lot more to do as it relates to the talent pipeline. And I think also, the corporate objectives are great, but you can see that there's so much more to do at the junior level, at the youth level, where society still continues to promote very traditional views on women.
But as you said, in just a couple of years, you've had a wonderful progression. I think it's 3 years now that you're within the certification. So we're extremely proud to see that all the recommendations that you receive are actually put into place so that there are concrete actions that are taken and that you're able to close the gender gap in the workplace.
Well, thank you.
Marc, what about at CAE?
Well, thanks. Again, it's a pleasure being here as well. Thanks, Maria. And as usual, Maria's stolen all my great comments. But no, look, I think as Maria was saying, look, to me, it's very effective at providing a guide for us. A guide to put together all the things we are already doing and new ones that we can come up with. I'll just give you a couple of examples that how we've been able to use it to create not only a more diverse and inclusive CAE, but a more diverse and inclusive supply chain. And we have a lot of suppliers, here in Canada and across the world. And we developed, for example, using AI, a database to be able to really, select and also reward, our suppliers based on the measures that they put in place, like, do they have like a woman founder, a woman executive? What diversity do they have within their management teams, within their organization as a whole? So to me, that's all the kind of things you could do, and it's resonating very, very strongly throughout the company and within the supplier base, and of course with our customers, which in the end really pays off. So it's all in the spirit of goodness. We're not at gold yet, but we're on the way. We achieved silver, and from where we were in the past, I'm very proud of where we are, and more to come. Hope to be next time to hit gold.
The other really interesting part is that, it does provide a forum for networking and exchanging. And actually, our two teams have, forged even stronger relationships and have had events together where, our talent, gets to work together, be together, I mean, not only in business, but also in community. So that's been particularly special.
It's also part of that community that we're building of heads of HR, talent, diversity and inclusion, of all these organizations that come together and support each other with best practices, ideas that can be leveraged within the various organizations. There's no competition, because we do have organizations that are competing. It's not the case for Pratt & Whitney and CAE, but we do have some organizations that are in competition, but they do feel that they will leverage each other's knowledge and experience. So tell me, how do you see a difference within your culture, within your organizations, when female leadership has more of a voice, when there's more presence of diversity as a whole? Do you find the conversations are changing and maybe more ideas, more perspectives are beneficial to your bottom line?
I think diversity, as in gender diversity, definitely brings a new perspective to the table, but diversity in general, diversity in thought and background and all these other things, going from a 1 product family to a 12 product family over our history has been largely a function of having a growth mindset. And by nature, that means, looking at what's next, what's outside of your sector, the ability to collaborate with people outside of your own space. And so to the extent that we've been able to bring together teams from various walks of life, both from within and outside, in today's world, it's a very complex and dynamic world, and people bring different perspectives. That's what makes us strong. I think that's been in large part a part of our success, and I see it every day with my team, for example.
Thank you, Maria. What have you seen, Marc?
Well, I would say the same thing, no question at all. It's obvious the change, and people talk about it, it's kind of cliche, we're going to have diversity of thought, but it's true. It's absolutely true. I live it every day. I can give you one specific example. A few years ago, 5 actually, we decided to change our culture at CAE. We needed to, because of the imperative to grow, and that was absolutely required, that we were able to really empower what was at that time about 10,000 employees at CAE, and we need to change our values, our culture, and we were literally able to do that because of the women around the table, the diversity of thought, and one specific woman in charge that you know very well, and you know very well, that who's on my EMC, who drove it forward.
Let's give her name.
Hélène Gagnon, okay, who actually drove the agenda forward, called us out, whenever, we were going back into our subjective biases, which we all have, and it's been, the cultural transformation has been outstanding. And it's really resulted, to me, in a very large part to the success that we've had in the organization, it really transforming ourselves over the last 5 years. So to me, it's absolutely no doubt of the value of diversity and inclusion.
And inclusion. So that's such a great point, right? Because every organization is going to say, we want to attract more diversity, we understand the value. And then when these members of diversity come into the organization and the culture doesn't really make them feel welcome and they feel that they need to fit, then they don't stay, right? And inclusion is key to really actually leveraging this in a positive way so that it has a positive impact on your innovation, on your penetration of markets, creation of new products, branding, the employee engagement, and all of that obviously is going to end up with a positive impact on your financial performance. So everybody wins. Now your industry, the aerospace industry, still is seen as a male-dominated industry. What could we do to attract and retain more women specifically?
Well, look, if I could start, to me, first and foremost, we got to have more role models. You know, we have great role model right here at Maria, outstanding. You know, I've known Maria for, it's known for 20 years now for sure. And, you know, just the fact that you have, and I have a lot in my organization, you know, we've grown ourselves at that leadership team from 10% of women on my EMC to 30%. And, you know, when the whole workforce, and specifically women in the organization, women just joining the company, for example, they see successful women at the top of the organization. And women that are, you know, not elderly, should I say, they're young, they can say, I can get there too. So role models are very important. Also, I think we have to start, specifically in our industry, we have to start at the beginning. We have to start, you know, really at the, first of all, grounding more women in mathematics and science, STEM roles. That's very, very important. I think it's important as a general rule for society, because of inevitably technology is so important. So I think that needs to happen everywhere, but specifically in women. And as well, guidance counselors in our schools. And I think we as employers have a big role to play in that. At a young age, you know, really when people are making decisions about high school, really get them enthused about aviation-related roles are not just for men. You know, create real, you know, career choices here that can be yours. For example, we have scholarships in place and we interview women that have become successful pilots, for example. We select them. And when I hear, you know, them talk about the fact that when they were, you know, thinking about becoming a pilot, they were told by their guidance counselor at high school, says, "What? No, that's a man's job." In this day and age, those are kind of things to me what we've got to overcome. More to do.
More to do. Well, Maria, tell us about your own experience. I mean, you joined Pratt & Whitney in 1985, and you're not an engineer.
That's right.
But you made it to the top of the organization. Can you tell us a bit about your journey?
First, I'd like to just, you know, add a little bit to what Marc said. I think that, you know, the importance of STEM in general for women and men, everybody is so critical because, you know, society needs those roles for sure. But, you know, we have, like Marc's organization, a mandate to develop, design, create, and serve products and service. So of the 14,000 people of Pratt & Whitney Canada, 25% are engineers, but there's 40% in operations, the rest all over the company. And you know, what's important, I think, is role models. And so I think looking at the numbers, you know, when we talk about, you know, numbers and diversity and things like that are important, but I'm particularly pleased with the fact that we have female talent, executive managers, and across the entire organization, from the functions to the, you know, head of sales and marketing to the second in command in engineering and everything in between. Because you need to be able to see yourself whatever your path is. So, you know, yes, people often say, you know, you're not an engineer, but I'm so many other things, right? And I think my personal experience, if I can share that, is that I joined the company right out of university. And it was in a finance role. You know, that's my background. I also have an MBA. But what quickly happened is, you know, my trajectory basically mirrors the trajectory and the growth of Pratt & Whitney Canada. Because as we went into each of these new sectors, you know, there was an opportunity to put my hand up. And I did. And, you know, I often say success is equal parts fear and motivation. And, you know, often I went into these things with a lot of, you know, trepidation, and not different from what Marc said, in that, you know, asking myself all the reasons why I couldn't do something as opposed to why I could. But sometimes when something is undefined, in a way, it's almost easier because you can make of it. And I was coming into a milieu with skills and tools that others didn't have. So, you know, I would say to people, first, there's a passion for learning. You know, as a leader, you need a tremendous amount of energy. Like, even when things are going well, you have to be asking yourself what's next. And that desire to always learn, what are the trends out there, what's going on. I think actually women are particularly attuned to that kind of thing. So for me, that was a big part. Every new segment we went into, you know, I found my way into it. And because I did it at relatively junior roles, you know, it was a small bet, to be honest. And I had a lot of people along the way. This is the culture of Pratt Whitney Canada who helped me. You know, people who had the technical background, but I'm not going to lie, being an engineer is a definite plus in aerospace, but there's room for everybody. Our mandate is the world market. We work with the customers who make one airplane to the biggest names in the industry. And with every new product introduction, I got to learn about the product and develop my skills. So I would say sometimes we're married to a concept. When I left the finance role and I went into customer service, I thought, what am I doing? You know, I just 8 years of university and I'm going into this generalist role. And, you know, some people say to me, yeah, but you know how it plays out. And my answer is, yeah, well, you don't know how it plays out, which is why the more plays you have, you know, the more options you have. So don't be married to a concept. When, you know, COVID, we're all talking about all the things we've lost, everything that's been cut. But there's also things that are presenting themselves. Raise your hand, don't be afraid.
So clearly being curious, being fearless, being bold, being also able to leverage the people around you, your network, mentors, sponsors. Marc, have you been in a position, I'm sure you have in your career, where you've mentored women, where you've supported their leadership development? What do you tell women who are maybe cautious about leading a technical team or heading operations? How do you encourage them to?
Well, first of all, I think I've done that throughout my career, and I've done it obviously for men and women. But women, I find especially rewarding, and I do it every day. It's part of the job to me, and as a leader. Well, look, I kind of the same thing. And by the way, Maria says she's not an engineer, but it's the best kept secret in town. Because for years and years, I thought she was, until I got to these kind of sessions where she keeps saying I'm not an engineer. And I keep looking for the iron ring. I lost mine a few years ago, but that's a whole other story. But no, same thing. First of all, I tell them, be yourself. Don't try to pretend. You know, be proud of who you are. And just put yourself forward, exactly the way that Maria just said. The same advice I give to men. The same thing. I had the same career path as Maria's. You know, first opportunity that comes, some tough ones sometimes. Hey, volunteer. Put yourself forward, and don't be afraid of failure. So men aren't, and that's a stereotype, but it's true. It's true. I find so many times that, you know, we have openings for a job, and I'm looking. How come we don't have, you know, more women applicants? And I find it's because we have to go out and get them. I have to say, apply, you're ready. Oh, no, I'm not ready. They wait till they get 95%, you know, readiness for the job before they put themselves forward. Whereas the guys, they got 20% and they're there, oh, me. But, you know, so that's part of it to me. Put yourself forward, you know, make sure that you are not afraid of failure. Try things. God knows you have a lot of time in your career to try things and find what you're good at, and it's likely to be what you like doing. So we'll do that. And I think men has a big role to play. You talked about me, but men overall, they have to do their part. They have to act as mentors themselves. They have to act as catalysts in their organization to challenge the fact that we don't have enough representation, diversity in our group, either as leaders or members of the team. And of course, they have to be inclusive in their behavior, or else you get the bad result that you talked about. We can talk a good game about diversity, but if we're not inclusive, forget it. I mean, you're going to show who you really are.
Maria, est-ce qu'il y a des caractéristiques typiquement féminines qui t'ont aidé à progresser de la manière dont tu l'as fait?
Cette notion de collaboration. Et je parle beaucoup à les nouveaux gradués, les étudiants et tout ça, qui me demandent toujours la même question. L'aérospatial, c'est inatteignable, comment on peut progresser. Et je suis tout le temps surprise parce que comme industrie, il y a tellement d'opportunités. Et ce que je leur dis, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, les disciplines, c'est pas comme c'était. Il n'y a pas finance, technique, commerciale. C'est très intégré. Et je pense que les femmes, en général, elles ont cette habileté de rassembler le monde, de tricoter entre différentes disciplines quelque chose, les aspects stratégiques. Si je pense à toutes les transformations qu'on a fait tout dernièrement au niveau du modèle d'affaires, c'est justement, on a vu cette complicité qui existe, ce besoin de tricoter toutes les disciplines, et je pense que les femmes, comme les hommes, mais si on parle de stéréotypes, que moi j'aime pas tellement, mais de toute façon, il y en a, je dirais que celui-là, c'est un des plus forts. Le travail d'équipe, c'est très, très... et notre industrie, ça se fait pas sans cette collaboration. L'avionneur, le motoriste, tous les systèmes, il n'y a pas un qui peut rassembler tout ça. Avec les universités, les écoles techniques, le gouvernement. Alors, ça prend les gens qui sont capables de justement faire ce réseautage.
Marc, en 2019, CAE a lancé un programme qui s'appelle Women in Flight. Women in Flight Scholarship, I believe, une bourse pour les femmes qui sont intéressées par le domaine de l'aérospatial. Vraiment une réalisation marquante parce qu'on continue à avoir tellement peu de femmes pilotes. Je pense que c'est en bas de 5 %. Est-ce que tu peux nous parler un petit peu de cette bourse qui a été lancée en 2019?
Oui, effectivement. Écoute, on en est très fiers. Puis, écoute, on a mis la bourse en place pour la simple et bonne raison, justement, d'encourager des femmes à devenir pilotes de ligne. Puis la statistique que tu as mentionnée, Caroline, est la bonne. Seulement 5 des femmes, là on parle des chiffres avant la crise COVID, mais je suis certain que le chiffre va être à peu près le même après.
Ou pire.
Oui, probablement pire. Et en passant, pour ceux qui voudraient devenir pilote de ligne, qui pensent que c'est fini les avions, non, détrompez-vous. Je pense que tout le monde a l'air de retourner dans les avions. Ça va revenir et ça va être très bon. Puis en passant, on va avoir encore besoin de plus de pilotes. Parce qu'une des raisons qu'on l'a lancé, c'est que justement, il y avait une pénurie de pilotes de ligne. On avait une pénurie, nous, on est experts dans le domaine, pénurie de 300 000 pilotes de ligne, qui est à peu près le double de la population actuelle. Fait que très gros qui s'en vient, qui deviendrait un frein à la croissance de l'industrie. Mais puis, on va voir la même chose dans les années à venir. Parce que, justement, une des choses que la COVID a faites est de précipiter une retraite pour plusieurs pilotes, ce qui va faire un engouement dans les prochaines années. Fait que le défi est encore là. Puis comment on peut parler de défi de pénurie de main-d'œuvre quand on a seulement 5 % qui vient des femmes? C'est ridicule. On voit pourquoi la diversité est tellement importante. Et c'est pour ça qu'on a lancé cette initiative-là, qui n'est pas rien en passant. On a lancé ce que ça fait, c'est que ça paye tout l'apprentissage, tout l'entraînement de pilote de ligne à partir d'une femme qui n'est pas pilote du tout. Fait qu'on parle d'au moins 250 000 $ US par personne. Puis en plus, puis on les sélectionne, on a fait ça partout à l'échelle de la planète. Puis ça fonctionne en passant. Parce qu'on a vu dans un exemple d'une de nos compagnies aériennes partenaires, parce que comment ça fonctionne notre programme, c'est que nous, on paye toute la formation en vol, simulateur, les cours au sol. Et une fois qu'ils deviennent pilotes de ligne, ils sont engagés par une de nos compagnies aériennes qui sont partenaires. Puis dans une compagnie aérienne en particulier en Europe, après qu'on a fait ce programme-là, le taux d'application est passé de 12 % d'application par des femmes à 35 % d'application par des femmes, juste dû à l'implémentation de ce programme-là. Fait que pour moi, c'est très impressionnant. On en est très fiers et on va continuer.
Ben bravo, c'est merveilleux.
Merci.
Et une preuve de plus que finalement, quand on ne compte que sur un bassin de talent masculin, c'est sûr qu'il nous manque du personnel, mais là, on peut élargir. Alors, c'est merveilleux. Je crois que je vais poser ma candidature. Maria, Marc, any last words of advice that you would share with an organization that may not have started on that journey towards more diversity and inclusion?
You know, in the complex world where the rapid change of not just technology, but you know, trends and everything around us is changing so much more rapidly, I think the ability to attract an inclusive workforce makes good business sense. And you know, you're hearing from two of us. I think our business track record speaks for itself. Not us, but the businesses that have, you know, we're on the right course before us and will continue to be so after us. And
you're too humble.
No,
by the way.
No, it's true. You know, I can speak to generations of leadership at Pratt Whitney Canada who, before any of these terms were even in the current space, knew the value of having a team, a team with all its components from different walks of life. There have been heads of Pratt Whitney Canada that have come from every discipline, from engineers to finance to operations, and you know, it's been always present. I always felt it, and I've been there for 35 years, as you said earlier. But I would say to, you know, companies who are wondering about it, that again, it's just good business in a world that is so changing and whatever. And again, when you talk to the young people in school today, like I find myself having to tell them this because they don't realize it themselves. They come with so much talent and skill, this ability to navigate through multiple disciplines, things that I learned one thing at a time over decades. They have it all. And so if you don't maximize that, that's a total waste of your company resources and the potential that you could achieve. But I would also caution two things. One is, we touched on it, COVID, and we know that the impact that this has had on women is definitely disproportionate. Whether you look at the women that have left the workforce, or you look at junior talent and how they have, again, left the workforce disproportionate to the population that they are, this will set us back decades. So we're not even in the, you know, we want to stay the course and get better, but I'm thinking we're going to in some ways start from further back. So, you know, it's like EH&S. You know, just to take a completely different topic, you know, we used to talk about fatalities and cutting hands and fingers, and if you only focus on that, you know, you're only going to get so far. It's only when we started to talk about active caring and interdependence and how you have to change your culture and not be macho about, you know, the equipment that you're using and how people's lives could be affected. That interdependence is what made the change at our company and many other companies. The other caution that I would bring is this notion of biases. And in one of the sessions that our teams pulled together for us, we had the, I call it a privilege to have one of the speakers, Dr. Tanya Sabia, talk to us about unconscious biases. And she explained how a bias is your brain taking a shortcut, right?
Exactly.
And what that means is that familiarity is the easiest path to making a decision. Your brain must make decisions all day long, tons of, you know, contacts and points that come your way. And you know what, if you're deciding about whether you're going to stand in this line and that line, not a big deal. But if you're making a decision around people and talent and who you're going to promote or what salary, you need to work for it. You need to make your brain work for it. Bring other people into the equation and make sure that you're getting the best decision you can, because even myself am biased in, you know, in the quest of going fast and being efficient.
We all are.
And
absolutely.
And that's not where you want to be when you're making decisions on people's careers and salary and promotions and other things. You really want to make sure that you are looking at that, and those biases creep in all the time. But there is no question that having a team that's made up of all of the composition of people on the planet is going to give you the best result.
Thank you. Such important advice. Thank you, Maria. Marc, last word.
Look, I can only agree to all that. And look, I think we have to create a culture that, you know, where people feel valued and represented. That applies for everyone. But make sure that you do it, and, you know, really walk the talk when you talk about inclusivity, or else you're going to get the result that people just leave the organization because they really won't feel that you are genuine as an organization. You know, to me, diversity and inclusivity, it's obvious. It's very obvious, and we see it every day. That increases the innovation in the organization, creates better results in the end of the day. But to me, just do it for the right reasons. Just do it because it's the right thing to do. You know, you met Caroline. You were just talking about briefly before we started. You met one of my daughters, and I would say to me, the last thing in the world that I want is for my two daughters to have less opportunity in life and in business than my son have. That's just wrong, and that's the number one reason we need to do it.
You know, I often get, even today, told, you know, oh, do we really need these ladies' garden clubs and these, you know, why are we, you know, we should, everybody, you know, this is good for everybody. Yes, it's true. And when we talk about women's issues, we're talking really about people issues, because
it's the society as a whole. I mean, there's no doubt there. Or even at Women in Governance, people might think it's a women's organizations and it is composed of women, but it's so far from the truth. On our permanent team, we've got men, we've got women, we've got people of different generations, origins, religious backgrounds, etc. Our board is co-chaired by a man and a woman, Norm Steinberg and Monique Leroux. We do see the benefit of complementarity of talents, different perspectives, different ideas. They bring us something different, and we need both. So I couldn't agree more.
And you know, Caroline, the population is 50% women, right? But there's not 50% women in most schema of business, right?
Well, Maria, the population is 51% of women. 60% of university graduates are women, and 80% of buying decision-making is made by women.
So, you know, I think that's why we should continue to talk about this, because we are not at that level on most dimensions. Now, having said that, I don't think, you know, this is not about promoting women is not promoting men, right? Because by the same token, I have a son, and I don't want him to be on the other end. We don't want to disenfranchise anyone. There's room for everybody in this world, everybody to reach their potential.
And there's ways of changing this. We can change this. You know, this is not rocket science. The result that we have is because of the input that we've put in as a society. And I'll give you just one example. We were talking about the fact that, you know, a very small proportion, it's still less than 20%, probably less than that, of university graduates in engineering that are women here in Canada and the Western world. But that's not necessarily the same everywhere. If you go to India, that's not the relation, the ratio. It's north of 50-50 in favor of women. So why is that? Well, it's just because of how, you know, we're encouraged to look at those disciplines as we grow up. So we can change this, just like we've changed a lot of things in our society.
Exactly, and that's what we're working on together. So thank you so much. Maria Della Posta, Marc Parent, un immense plaisir, un privilège vraiment de vous avoir reçu. Thank you so much for being part of this. And next time, we'll be in person somewhere, I hope, with a large audience and not just online. Looking forward to it. And thank you to both your organizations for all the important work you're doing for the vaccination to advance in our province. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. Merci.
Roche-Beaubois, French art de vivre.
Now the moment you've been all waiting for. The time has come to unveil the names of the 58 organizations that have achieved the 2020 Parity Certification. First, let's start with the 50 organizations at the bronze, silver, and gold levels. ABB, Air Canada, Autorité des marchés financiers, Bell, Bishop's University, BNP Paribas, Bombardier, Business Development Bank of Canada, CAE, Canadian Coast Guard, Caprit, Cascades, CNESST, Cominard, CPP Investments, Desjardins Group, ETS, Export Development Canada, Fairstone Financial, Gilded, Intact Financial Corporation, Ivanhoé Cambridge, JLL, Kruger Products, Lavery Lawyers, L'Auto-Québec, Marsh Canada, McGill University, Medicago, Morneau Chappelle, Norton Rose Fulbright, PaySafe, Polytechnique Montréal, Pratt and Whitney Canada, PSP Investments, Randstad Canada, Réseau de transport de la capitale, Rio Tinto, Rolls-Royce, Sanofi Canada, SAS Institute Canada, Schneider Electric, Solio Cooperative Group, SDF, Telos, the John Molson School of Business, Concordia University, TMX, Via Rail Canada, Willis Towers Watson, Yellow Pages, congratulations to all. Now, time has come to unveil the 8 2020 Platinum Certified organizations. Accenture.
Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à First, I would like to say a big thank you to Carolyn and her Women in Governance team for bringing this incredible group of leaders together this evening for the annual Recognition Gala. The work you are doing is so important for corporate Canada, our communities, and our families and friends. Accenture is so honored to receive Platinum certification from Women in Governance for the second consecutive year to celebrate our actions in advancing gender equality. We also had the great opportunity this year to join Mercer and Willis Towers Watson as a Parity Certification partner. We recognize that we all have much work to do, but I'm so proud of the unwavering commitment Accenture has to a culture of equality across our entire firm, starting with our global CEO, Julie Sweet. Through bold goals set across our workforce in Canada, we strive to have a balanced workforce inclusive of gender, race, and ethnicity, disability, and other dimensions. We continue to promote women at all stages of their careers and investing in targeted support, flexible work arrangements, and comprehensive training programs to help women thrive, truly thrive at Accenture. With tremendous support from organizations like Women in Governance, I know we can truly change and lead the change for women in the workplace. My heartfelt congratulations to the other organizations being recognized here tonight, and let's all continue to work towards gender equality. Thanking you.
CBC Radio-Canada.
I'm proud to say that CBC Radio-Canada has been committed to gender parity for over 30 years. This parity certification reflects the success of our efforts while also encouraging us to do more. Diversity, inclusion, and parity are central to our strategic plan, both as a public broadcaster and as an employer. We want to reflect the full range of Canadian perspectives within our organization, as well as in our content. And this commitment to parity will allow us to better reflect the face of Canada and will ensure our continued relevance to Canadians.
Mercer.
Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Jackie Parchment, and I'm very proud to serve as President and CEO of Mercer Canada. I'm also incredibly proud to accept our Platinum Gender Parity certification on behalf of Mercer. I want to thank Caroline Codzi and La Gouvernance au Féminin for helping organizations like ours assess where we are with respect to the gender gap in our workplace. And by knowing where we are, help us to close that gap. At Mercer, we believe that men and women are equally smart and equally capable. And we believe that colleagues of all races and all different sexual orientations are equally smart and equally capable. And really delighted that this Platinum certification highlights that the work we've been doing to recognize that equality is having an impact. At Mercer, we build healthier and more sustainable futures for our clients, our colleagues, and our communities. And as CEO, creating a workplace that looks like Canada, a workplace that is more diverse, that is inclusive, where everyone can bring their whole selves to work, that is one of my top priorities. I am so grateful to our HR team and to the members of our Canadian leadership team, over half of whom are women, by the way, for their work in advancing us on our journey. And I also thank all of our people managers and each and every one of our colleagues for helping us achieve this really important milestone. Congratulations as well to all the other organizations that received a parity certification, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. Merci, and thank you so much.
National Bank of Canada.
Hello. Congratulations to all the winners of the Women in Governance Award. Two things are required to have a better representation of women in our organizations: a plan and good conversations. I congratulate you for setting the example and inspiring others around you. Well done, and keep up the excellent work.
National Film Board of Canada.
I am Claude Jolica, President of the National Film Board of Canada. Thank you to Women in Governance and its President-Founder, Caroline Coetzee, for their exceptional work in support of parity. Thank you to all the teams at the NFB that have allowed the talents of women artists and creators to shine. This work is particularly important during these pandemic times, which have been particularly hard on women, especially those from underrepresented groups. This is the NFB's third Parity Certification and second consecutive Platinum Parity Certification. For the last 5 years, the NFB has maintained its commitment to parity and reported publicly on its results. The evaluation and certification process has allowed us to extend the reach of parity within our organization. We see parity as part of our efforts supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion. There is still much to accomplish. Thank you to Women in Governance for inspiring us and keep going. Have a great evening.
Sodexo, Canada.
I want to start off by thanking the Women in Governance team, more particularly Caroline Coetzee. They've decided to change Canada one organization at a time. Thank you. It's at Sodexo, we're really proud by this third certification at platinum level. It's a recognition of all the work done by our teams at all levels of our organization, and a strong recognition of our values around diversity and inclusion. It's also for us, our new measure going forward. We will compare ourselves in the spirit of progress and innovation inside Sodexo as well as in the ecosystem we work in. So I really want to thank Sodexo Canada again for your leadership, and I'm really proud and honored to represent you.
Sun Life.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Women in Governance for this recognition and for its leadership in supporting women's career advancement. We take great pride in our Platinum Parity Certification for the 4th year in a row. You know, being a resilient and sustainable company requires a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace. And at Sun Life, we want to make changes. And our ambition became commitments when we set specific and measurable goals. We've committed to a target of 50% women in executive roles worldwide by 2025. In Canada, we are confident we will achieve this goal with a pool of 43% women in assistant vice president positions. We're also pleased to say that we have achieved our goal of increasing women's representation to 30% at board level with 36% representation. And 3 of our 4 board committees are chaired by women. For us, parity is about creating an environment where all employees feel respected, connected, and inspired. We see parity as a driving force for innovation, growth, and efficiency. So, congratulations to all companies being honored tonight, and good evening.
Ville de Montréal.
Bonsoir, je suis très fière que la Ville de Montréal ait obtenu la certification platine dans le cadre de sa participation à la certification Parité 2020 pilotée par la gouvernance au féminin. C'est la plus haute distinction, quelle belle reconnaissance! Beaucoup de chemin a été parcouru à la Ville dans les dernières années. Nous sommes sur une belle lancée, mais nous sommes surtout fermement déterminés à poursuivre nos efforts pour atteindre la parité et la diversité dans nos milieux de travail. Vous savez, l'égalité entre les femmes et les hommes est une valeur fondamentale pour Montréal. Elle est inscrite dans la Charte montréalaise des droits et responsabilités. Il est donc capital que cette valeur se reflète au sein de la fonction publique. Une chose est certaine, nous allons continuer de travailler pour refléter la diversité montréalaise, pour atteindre l'égalité, pour lutter contre les discriminations systémiques et pour mettre en place un environnement de travail égalitaire. Je souhaite remercier tous les employés de la Ville de Montréal pour leur engagement en faveur de la diversité et de l'inclusion. Enfin, merci à la gouvernance au féminin et félicitations à toutes les organisations certifiées pour leur engagement à rendre leur organisation plus représentative et plus inclusive. Sur ce, je vous souhaite une bonne soirée.
Congratulations again to the 58 organizations that received the certification. However, folks, this is but the tip of the iceberg. We encourage all organizations across Canada to join the movement. More women and more diverse women in decision-making bodies is crucial to our success, economically, politically, and socially. It is not for a lack of education or presence in the workplace, so the onus is on leaders in the workplace to attract, retain, and develop these talented women now.